I have 2 years of audited accounts that has given us significant amounts of information as to the operation of the NNPC. So the reason why I tell you there is no problem is that if you have the information at hand that you need to deal with, then you know exactly what you need to do to set things right and get things going. So the information is all there. You know, you have it as a big hard copy. So I have
please beam it here.
Yes, you see. So you have it as that big copy there. So that's the NNPC audited report for 2022. It was signed off on the 14th of August this year. I have it on a soft copy on my iPad. And so the information is there. So the question now is that all the questions that we've been asking and we've been speculating about, we have the answers here. So there's no need to speculate anymore. The Dangote refinery is stated very clearly how much they own in the Dangote refinery. So there is no rumor. As at December, nothing has changed. We know that the value of all the forwards are now about 5 trillion, just over 5 trillion.
Okay. The value of all the forwards?
Yes, it's now over about 5 trillion.
There's no problem at all.
We know where we are and what we are. So as far as I see it, the question now is, with this information, how do we move forward? So that is why I tell you, you have a problem when you do not understand the issues, or you cannot document the whole essence, or there's no transparency.
Okay. So
now that we have the transparency and we have the accounting in place, then we can begin to do the analysis.
Okay, let's
now begin to look at where the issues are and then how we move forward. As you said, there's no fuel today. Okay, so whatever that issue, whatever you might say about this balance sheet, the reality outside, I walked from Fallomo roundabout so that I could get here early. If not, my driver is still there. So I had to get out of the car because I knew time was going and I had to make it here on time. So all the Awolowo Road is jam-packed. So that's the reality we're facing. So we can now address those issues.
Let's talk about the issues, the problems.
Okay.
And let's now start to address them. Number one, the balance sheet, the forward sales.
Yes.
What is the issue? What can we do about it? And also the close to 3 to 4 trillion we're spending on refineries that are not working, which NNPC is still giving us hope that they said in the month of August will resurrect to life.
Okay.
Yes.
Two questions. Okay. You talk about the forwards.
Yeah.
Okay, so the issue from this balance sheet is the fact that if you take a look at the quick ratio of NNPC, their current liabilities exceed their current assets. So basically they have liquidity issues despite saying that they have 7 trillion in cash balances. So, there's that contradiction there. So the quick ratios tell a different story. So the problem with the NNPC balance sheet is that they have not optimized debt or equity within their capital structure. So what you're finding is that they cannot fund a lot of their operations. So they're selling a lot of their crude forward, which is wrong. So we need to restructure the NNPC balance sheet. First of all, we need the governance. Ministry of Finance Incorporated is the owner of the 200 billion fully and issued paid capital of that. So we need to see a high level of governance. We need to see MOFI's involvement in NNPC's corporate governance. NNPC's issue is a corporate governance issue. In any other company of the size of this balance sheet, you have a board audit committee. There are strict corporate guidelines that we need to get through. NNPC needs to now put his accounts and all the proceeds from oil sales into an account with the Central Bank of Nigeria. There's no, it's not negotiable under the control of the Ministry of Finance. Then you can talk about disbursements as to how you want to fund your operations or how you do not want to fund your operations. So once you do that, you put that right structure in place, get Ministry of Finance Incorporated involved, get the Ministry of Finance involved, get the Central Bank involved. Because even they admit that the company is strategic to national security and national interest. So it is important that that is done, number one. Who gave the approval to get into 5 trillion naira worth of forward contracts? If it's in any other company, that CFO would have been fired.
Really?
No,
Yes.
but the CFO,
So,
please,
no,
they
no,
will
no,
say
no.
you hate them. Don't say that to...
Please, Rufai, please.
Okay.
I'm having a serious conversation today. I'm not interested in they. Stick to the facts and figures. You have them there. Let them come and defend themselves. Go and call the CFO of NNPC here and let him explain his balance sheet. It's a public document.
All right. Talking about,
He did come on the Global Business Report. That was like 2 or 3 years ago. So hopefully, as he
So
comes
now
back,
with the new-
he comes back to
talk
a
about
spot.
also the refinery issue.
The refinery...
Close to 4 trillion on the books that were frittering away for refineries are not working.
That's another issue. That's an underutilized asset that you now need to explain. If you did not see this balance sheet, would you know how much is in the refineries?
Thank you.
If you didn't see it, would you know? You'd be speculating. That's why I told you there's no problem.
okay. All right.
So now we know. So focus on the facts, stick with the facts, and let us ask the right questions.
All right, so talking about speculation,
Yes.
whilst we say largely for this document we don't have, but there's still speculations around some spendings, particularly what is termed under charitable donations. We had that, I mean, we pulled that up just not long ago, where they spent 18 billion naira on charitable donations, up by 1,300% from last year. Now, there's an opaque part. So NNPC Foundation gets 10.3 billion naira, while others get 7 billion naira. Yes, the NNPCL donates, has charitable, but what are the details of it? Because these are some of the ways, this opacity of that, where things can quickly go under the radar. What's your take on that?
Again, that goes to corporate governance. Okay? You have budgeted 10 billion for charitable things and to your foundation, and fine, fantastic. So there must be corporate governance within the NNPC as to how those things would be used, and there must be accountability within the system to ensure that the corporate, that is effectiveness.
Can 7 billion naira come under others?
Yes, it can. They will give you the breakdown.
No, but there's no breakdown.
There's no breakdown in the account.
Right.
But you already know. But you know now that 7 billion is in others.
Right.
Okay.
You know that.
Right.
So you can go and ask the right questions that please give us more information on what this 7 billion on breakdown is, before you be speculating that, oh, they said. No. So now we have information. We've already known that they spent 7 billion on that. So that now is an issue of corporate governance.
Look, we could talk about this for 3 hours. I don't even know where to begin. The refineries.
Yes.
Do you think anybody would buy them? Look, like Kaduna refinery, where it's located now, considering how far it is from the south. Atiku Abubakar, when he was running for president, said if he won, he would sell them. Would anybody buy those assets? Do you think, what is the way forward with the government-owned refineries? Or do we keep with the turnaround maintenance? Where do we go?
Okay, first of all, take a look at, we talk about the refineries on NNPC, and because I want to have a chance to look at how the solution is. So you understand where I'm coming from now, that there is no longer a problem. So you understand my sarcasm,
of course,
when I say that.
Yes.
Okay, because
everything
everything is focused. Now, okay, we know what is being documented, not only the refineries, but all the other subsidiary companies of NNPC has been documented here. A lot of all these assets are underutilized, and they are assets that are not delivering value on the balance sheet. So if you even take a look at the revenue profile of NNPC to see where they're making money, and that is why I talk about why I believe the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, MOFI, and the central bank needs to provide some oversight to NNPC, in the sense that a lot of all these companies that are not making money, why you are now getting all this money from, most of the money from NNPCs on crude sales and all these other things, they're going in to subsidize these moribund refineries. So if you are working in a company that wasn't making money for 20 years, what would happen? That company would have been shut down. So now you've seen it. So it's clear that these refineries are a burden on Nigeria, on NNPC itself. Can you sell those refineries? Of course, you can sell those refineries if you put them in order. If you take a look at the amortization, the refineries are amortized for about 70 years. Okay, so it still has a long lifespan. So it's not an issue, but the question is that, what is the state of disrepair of those refineries, and how much is it going to cost to get it into operations? So you need a technical expert to go in there to tell us where it is. But what I'm trying to say with the refineries is the fact that, yes, we know what the problem with those refineries are. They're suboptimal and they're a drag on the NNPC balance sheet because there's zero revenue from refining.
And we pulled
zero revenue from refining.
So look at Port Harcourt. Amounts owed by related parties, 800 billion to 1.9 trillion in 2023.
Exactly.
Kaduna, Warri. I mean, it's
all of the NNPC subsidiaries
are all loss-making.
All loss-making to the tune of 25 trillion naira.
That's our budget.
So that's what I'm trying to say.
Budget.
So you understand when I tell you now there's no problem.
No,
I'm not sarcastic. You see, wait, let me tell you something.
Oh, okay, wait, I get where you're coming
when you know your problem, then you know you don't have a problem.
Right.
So it's not a question. No. So please understand that. Let us be very, because this is a very, very, very serious discussion.
It is.
Okay, I want to come in here. And I was being serious, to say the least, when I said that they will say otherwise. When you say the CFO should be fired.
Stop saying they.
No, I'm coming.
Rufai, please, I'm here to focus on the NNPC balance sheet.
Let me land.
So no, please, don't land. I'm not here to talk about they. No. I'm here to talk about this NNPC balance sheet.
I'm talking about the balance sheet.
So don't talk about they. Bring your point from the balance sheet.
I'm going to bring my point from the balance sheet.
And let's discuss it. Forget about anybody else outside the four of us in this room.
Okay, let me land. This was the same NNPC that told us Nigerians to our faces that it's a privilege for us to even get the balance sheet. This was one of the achievements they touted. So that's why I said, and you are talking about corporate governance issues. Who is going to implement them? Is it this government? Do you think even with this, the government have the willingness? When they released their balance sheet last year, did the government do anything about the corporate governance issues you face? Take, for instance, look at how bloated the salaries are. I want you to talk about the salaries.
I don't know about the salaries. The salaries, for me, is not an issue. That's not the issue.
In this book,
it's not an issue.
There's no issue around the salaries?
No, there's no issue around salaries.
We can pull up the numbers.
You can pull numbers to see the salaries.
Yeah.
The NNPC is a new company, so let them put their board and let us set them a board committee that will determine the remuneration of their staff.
Exactly.
It's not my business. So that is part of governance, and that's why I'm telling you.
So who is going to fix governance?
That is their salaries. That is what you say.
So this is just even dividend.
No, divided. No, what I did was divided the total amount by the amount of employees.
By the amount,
Exactly.
So what they are paying per employee.
Right.
Now, another thing that NNPC, we will talk about the solutions as what they need to do, which I've told you, there is 25 trillion in all losses made by all the other subsidiaries. So what does that mean? And I think maybe we need to start looking at the solution.
No, that's what I'm asking. This corporate governance you're talking about, who is going to implement it as part of the solution?
That is what I'm trying to explain to you.
Yes.
Who owns NNPC?
Mofi.
Exactly. So Ministry of Finance Incorporation is the owner of NNPC. So number one, where is Mofi? Let Mofi step forward, and Central Bank of Nigeria, and let them take oversight of NNPC. Any money they make in oil sales, let them put it into CBN account or an account offshore. As they said, is also in the petroleum industry bill, the company has national security issues, so they can put it in that place. Okay, so that's number one. Once they do that, you know this is a corporate finance play. We will restructure the balance sheet of NNPC. It's very easy. What do we do? Number one, the fact is that you cannot continue to use forwards to finance your company. So what do? You refinance all those forwards and get your credit rating and go and issue a corporate bond in dollars. Tie your receivables into an escrow account that you use to service all those debt repayments, and you get a cheaper way to do that. That's very easy. We'll do that in a year. Number two, there's inadequacy of equity within your capital structure. There are 74 assets. 9 of them are exploration, 14 of them are development, and 51 of them are producing. So if you take a look at the producing and those charts, take a look at the oil production of Nigeria. Maybe your producers can help me put up the chart of Nigerian oil production. I've said this many times. In 1977, were you born then?
No, I was not.
You are not born in 1977. Okay.
We're doing 2 million barrels.
No, not 2 million. 1977, we're doing 2.5
million barrels
a day. Okay. So now today we're doing 1.3 million barrels a day. And we have acreages of 74, how many? 74 assets, of which 51 producing, 14 development, 9 exploration.
Yes, you're doing 1.3.
Okay, only 1.3 million barrels. So that's a problem. Then you go to the next issue, which is the rig count. Rig count, if you can tell your producers to give us the rig count.
That's it.
Okay, so when you talk about the rig count in Nigeria, okay, the highest rig count in Nigeria is 20.
Wow.
Or 23. So now the thing has gone up now from 19, maybe it's gone up. So if you only have 20, 23 rigs, you are not doing business. Okay, so let's go to the next slide, which now talks about the rig counts continue between Nigeria and Saudi Arabia. Let's compare. So you can now see the difference between what consistently Saudi Arabia has had nothing, never had anything less than 20, 30, 40 in terms of the minimum rig counts. So if this is the situation, then that means that if you take a look at the NNPC balance sheets, which is what I've told you now, I've looked at these assets, and all this is from their desks. Some of them are JVs. The problem in Nigeria is that we have what you call these JVs. The JVs are not working, okay, because they're constrained. So NNPC has to stop seeing itself as an operator. So NNPC has to divest from a lot of all those JVs that they are holding, because they are constraining those operators from going to raise money, and that's why the IOCs are leaving. So all those JVs, we divest their majority interest from 60%, 55%, take it down to 49. In the process, within the next 1 year, if we do that, I will put $35 billion on the table for the federal government.
You?
Yes.
He can't.
Straight.
The investors. Of
I don't need to do that. Just tell them that one. That one will do forward for you on that one. Forward, straight. That one now forward. Tax government take $35 billion. You are going to divest. That's what you call a proper forward sale. Then you now brought in equity into your balance sheet to strengthen it. So out of that money, government can take 20 billion.
To run this.
Go and use it to go and solve their problems. Then the forward contracts you are loaning, you are using proper loan, bonds. You've freed up all those forwards and you freed up your production. And then the operators of all these assets can now go to the capital markets and the IOCs either use their own money to go and develop all these things, and you can go to 3-4 million.
What about this state-backed forwards? This request that the government now asks for the forward. So NNP should not be meeting all of that.
No. So you don't need all that one. I told you, I've given you the finance structure. And then all these things they're doing, carried interest, modified carried interest. You can't. You can't ask them to be carrying your interest and pay you back with oil. No, let it go.
All right.
Let it go.
Very quickly, because one of the things we had said.
So you understand why I'm saying that there's no problem?
Yes.
But there's a problem. You're not solving the problem. He's still problem because he's analyzing the problem.
The first step in solving the problem is being able to identify the challenge.
Exactly.
And this is what this document has
So
done.
you know it.
So what I wanted to ask you is that, Rotus, you'd read something out in your report about this thing of subsidy versus under recovery.
Yes.
And the reason, and I'm saying that because of part of the conversation today is the fuel scarcity.
Yes.
And the fact that there's still queues on our roads and fuel subsidy removed. The big question that a number of people are asking, because there are different thoughts. Fuel subsidy, is it still there or is it not there? The government position is that they are not paying a dime in fuel subsidy. Then number two, please can you break it down when they now say, oh, it's under recovery because the government said they cannot sell PMS above a certain threshold.
Okay, it's English we are speaking. What they call it in Hausa, they say, "Wana dongo turenchi." Okay. Big English.
Okay, big English.
Big English. Okay. I think the clip we saw in the beginning.
Yeah, with the chief.
Okay. One of the things you need to look at in these balance sheets is that the first thing NNPC tells you is the fact that it's allowed to do things for the federation on the federation's account, which is this thing they're doing, and they are calling it under recovery. Okay, so whatever you want to call it is a subsidy. Okay, because what is happening is that we're not paying the full price for the petroleum product.
Somebody's paying the difference.
The government is the one that is holding that difference, and government has to finance that difference. Yeah. So whether you want to call it that or not is just words. So, but the question is that, again, this problem has been documented in their reports, and we've seen how much the under recovery or the subsidy value is. It's stated in the report. We can see it there. So there's no problem. Again, like I said, how do we deal? How do we deal with it? So the question is, how do we deal with it?
Yeah. Okay. IPO.
No. It's not IPO. No. Like I've said, the people, all the 400,000 barrels a day of things that we are going to say, let them go and keep that one and sell it to the local refineries. Not only Dangote is not the only one. Send them to all those other people, let them sell it to them in Naira, and let them start producing their fuel in Naira and agree, because they are buying it at international price but at dollar rate. So that's number one. Once you do that and you get all that going, then that's not a problem. They shouldn't ask all the other producers who are exporting their oil and spending dollars for their production to start selling in Naira. It is only that strategic amount of money. Let them take that 400,000 barrels and let them give it to the bottler people and let them start worrying about it. So, and like I said, the other things I've said is a corporate finance issue. Restructure the balance sheet, refinance the forwards, sell down your assets to raise about $35–40 billion, and the rest of it will come to
thank you.